Jiri sat quietly in the dark corner of her ship, her green eyes glowing softly under the red emergency lights. The crash had shaken her bones, but her mind was stuck on something else, something terrifying. Just before her ship went down, she had intercepted a strange human transmission. It was short, but enough to freeze her blood. A deep human voice had laughed and said, "Yeah, she's gorgeous. I'd eat her up if I could." Jiri's 3 hearts skipped a beat. The translator confirmed it again and again. Eat her up, human males. Eat their females. It was worse than she imagined. She remembered the stories her elders told, stories of human males being dangerous, aggressive, and primitive. She never believed them until now. Now the proof was in her own ears. They eat their mates. She pressed her fingers to the glass window, looking out at the planet she had crashed on Earth. Her small scout ship was damaged beyond repair. The outside world looked quiet, but she knew one thing. She was not alone. Her race, the Valari, had always avoided humans. The council called them affection predators, meaning they hide their violence behind smiles and gifts. Jiri had never met one before, and she had no plans to until she heard footsteps. Crunch, crunch. Someone was walking through the broken forest near her ship, slowly, carefully, as if hunting. Jiri held her breath. A shadow appeared at the edge of the trees. A tall figure stepped into the light. It was a human, a male, alone. He had short brown hair, dirt on his jacket, and a strange tool in his hand. Jiri's panic grew. Was that a weapon? Was he here to eat her? The human saw the broken ship and raised his hands. "Hello?" he said softly. "Anyone hurt in there?" Jiri stayed silent. Maybe he would go away. But he didn't. He came closer, carefully stepping over the fallen branches. "I saw the crash," he said again. "I'm not here to hurt you. I swear." Jiri swallowed hard. Her translator buzzed, repeating his words. But her fear didn't lessen. Her mind still heard his earlier words. "I'd eat her up. This man, could he be the same?" The human reached the ship and gently tapped on the broken hull. "I have food and water," he said. "Please don't be scared." Food and water? A trick to gain her trust? So he could eat her later? She backed further into the shadows, but her leg ached from the crash. She couldn't move much. Suddenly, a piece of the ship cracked and fell. She cried out. The human froze. "You're in there," he said. "You're hurt. I heard you." He quickly opened a side hatch and climbed inside. The emergency lights flickered on his face. Jiri's breath caught. He looked different than she imagined. Not like a monster. Just tired, human, worried. Then he saw her. He blinked, surprised, but didn't run, didn't scream. Instead, he slowly kneeled, holding out a shiny metal container. "Soup," he said gently. "Warm, safe, promise." Jiri stared at it. Was this the beginning? The part where he lures her, gains her trust? Then her stomach growled loudly, betraying her. The human smiled. "I'll leave it here, okay? I'll sit over there." He placed the soup on the floor and backed away, hands up. Jiri didn't trust him, but the smell. It was wonderful. Her hunger won the battle. She crawled forward slowly, took the container, and drank. It was warm, sweet, and unlike anything she had tasted before. Her eyes watered, not from pain, but from comfort. The human watched her silently. "My name's Jack," he said. "You don't have to say anything, just rest." Jiri looked at him through tired eyes. Could this really be the same kind of creature that eats their females? She didn't understand. Her data didn't match her experience. Jack pulled out a small heating device and placed it between them. "Cold night," he mumbled. "You'll freeze." He then leaned back against the wall, closed his eyes, and dozed off. Jiri didn't sleep. Her mind ran in circles. She was trapped inside a small space with a male human. A human who smiled at her, fed her, and helped her. Was it kindness? Or was this how the hunting began? One thing was clear. She couldn't stay here forever. But right now, with the soft heat, the warm soup, and Jack snoring lightly nearby, She didn't feel like prey. She felt confused, but her people were wrong about many things before, weren't they? Maybe, just maybe. This human wasn't a monster, not yet, but she would keep watching him. Because if humans eat their mates, then she needed to know when he planned to feast. Jiri opened her eyes slowly. Her body ached. Her leg was still swollen. And the inside of the crashed ship smelled like metal, smoke, and something new, something human. She wasn't alone anymore. Jack, the male human, sat just a few steps away from her, quietly boiling water using a strange box that glowed blue. The night had passed, and Jiri had not been eaten, not even touched. Still, she didn't let her guard down. She stayed quiet, barely breathing as she watched him from the shadows. He hummed a little tune, his voice low and soft. It wasn't scary. It was strange, like he was trying to keep the silence friendly. When he noticed she was awake, he smiled. "Morning," he said gently, holding out a new container. "Tea, not poisoned, I swear." Jiri stared at the cup like it was a weapon. Her translator repeated his words in her native language. "Tea, not poison. A clever trick, maybe. Serve something safe before the attack." She took the cup slowly, watching his eyes, waiting for sudden movement. But Jack only nodded and returned to his spot. For several minutes, they sat in silence. The warm tea made her body feel better. But her mind was still in panic. He didn't act like a predator, but maybe that was part of the hunt. After all, even jungle beasts smiled before biting. "You were lucky to survive that crash," Jack said, glancing around the wreckage. "I was nearby, hiking, when I saw the smoke." Jiri tilted her head. Hiking? Was that a human hunting word? He pointed to a picture in his wrist device, a mountain, trees, and himself standing proudly with a big stick. Jiri's eyes widened. Was that his tool for catching prey? "I'm not military," Jack added quickly, seeing her expression. "I'm a biologist, peaceful guy, promise." Jiri didn't know what a biologist was, but it didn't sound like a warrior title. Maybe it meant meat selector or species taster. Still, her instincts told her something else. His eyes weren't cold. There was no hunger in his stare. Just concern, curiosity, and something even stranger, kindness. She finally spoke, her voice weak but steady. "Why, help me?" The translator struggled, but the message was clear. Jack blinked, surprised she could speak his language. "You needed help," he said. "Isn't that reason enough?" Jiri looked down. Her people always believed in logic, protection, survival, not soft ideas like help and kindness, especially not from a species that eats their mates. "I not food," she said slowly. Jack chuckled, but stopped when he saw how serious she was. No, of course not," he said, raising his hands. "Who told you humans eat people?" "You say it," she replied. "In Sky Talk, eat her up, you say." Jack blinked, then laughed awkwardly. Oh no, that's just an expression." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Embarrassed. It means someone is cute or lovely. It doesn't mean I want to actually eat you." Jiri didn't understand. How could eating mean loving? The two were completely different actions, at least in her culture, you humans. "Confusing," she said. He smiled. "We confuse ourselves too sometimes." She sipped more tea, letting her nerves settle for a moment. Her body still hurt, but the fear was changing. It wasn't gone, but now it had a twin feeling growing beside it. Curiosity. "Your people love with food?" she asked. Jack laughed again. "We do share food when we care. Yes, like taking someone out for dinner is romantic." Jiri frowned. "Romantic? Dinner?" He continued. "You know, back in the old days, giving food to someone was how we showed trust. It still is." Jiri looked down at the warm cup in her hand. Was this what he meant? Was this tea a sign of care? Suddenly, a noise outside made them both freeze. A loud growl echoed through the trees. Jack stood up immediately and grabbed a small stick-shaped weapon from his bag. Jiri panicked. Her hand moved to her hidden pulse shocker. She didn't trust him, not fully, and now she was trapped with a human holding a weapon. But Jack didn't aim it at her. He moved toward the ship's entrance and peered outside. "It's just a wild animal," he said after a moment. "Probably smelled the food." He looked back at her, eyes serious but not angry. "We're safe in here." Jerry's hands shook. She wasn't afraid of the beast outside anymore. She was afraid of the confusing feelings building inside her. This human male had shown nothing but care, even though he could have taken advantage at any time. She was beginning to doubt the warning she'd always heard. Maybe, just maybe, humans weren't affection predators. Maybe they were just strange, kind-hearted, and a little too honest with their words. As Jack sat back down and offered her a protein bar, he smiled and said, "It's not poisoned either, I promise." Jerry took it this time, no hesitation, and for the first time since the crash, she smiled back. Jerry sat by the wall of the broken ship, her injured leg now wrapped in soft human cloth. It didn't smell like medicine, but it was clean and somehow comforting. Jack had done it with such care, without asking for anything in return. Still, her mind was a storm of questions. She didn't understand human ways. Their words were strange, their actions even stranger. He smiled so much, even when he was tired. He offered food as if it was more than just survival, like it meant something emotional. "Why you do this?" she asked him as he fixed something on her translator chip. "You don't know me." Jack looked up, blinking. "Because you needed help," he said. "It's just what I do." Jiri narrowed her eyes. "But you said humans say eat her up mean love?" Jack chuckled. "Yes, it means she's beautiful or attractive, not real eating." Her translator buzzed again. Trying to catch the exact meaning of attractive, she frowned. "So you love food?" Jack smiled. "Yes, I love food," then added, "but I also love people, sometimes." Jiri's head tilted, confused. How can same word mean taste and care? He paused, then laughed. "Human language is weird. You'll get used to it." Jack handed her a small device then, glassy and glowing with soft blue light. "Here, I made some adjustments," he said. "It's a translator update, should help with human phrases." Jiri tapped it, and suddenly her ears heard layers in his words, not just the flat meaning, but emotion, tone. It felt like the device was painting colors into his speech. She looked up at him, wide-eyed. "You made this for me?" "Yeah," he shrugged. "It was bothering me how you kept thinking I wanted to cook you." She flushed a shade of purple, her species' version of blushing. Jack noticed but said nothing. He just smiled again. The translator began showing her more. His smile wasn't just a facial expression. It was a signal of peace, warmth, even admiration. Her people didn't have smiles. They only bared teeth in threat. But Jack's smile, it felt like sunlight. "You smile when happy?" she asked softly. Jack nodded. "Mostly, sometimes when nervous too." He leaned back, resting his arms behind his head. "You guys don't smile?" She shook her head. "We show calm with quiet eyes." He grinned. "Well, yours are glowing. Now does that mean you're calm?" She blinked, not sure how to answer. Her eyes always glowed under stress or curiosity, but was she calm? She looked at him again, really looked. Human males were supposed to be terrifying, yet here he was, teaching her, caring for her, not hurting her. "You are strange," she said. He laughed. "I get that a lot." They sat for a while watching the sky darken outside the ship's broken window. The Earth's sun dipped low, painting the trees in gold and red. Jiri had never seen such colors in her life. Her planet was gray, white, and silver, functional, not beautiful. Jack pointed at the horizon. "Pretty, huh?" Jiri nodded. "Yes, but dangerous?" Jack looked at her. "Why would a sunset be dangerous?" She answered slowly. "On my world, bright light usually means storm coming." He chuckled. "Here it just means the day is ending." Everything she knew was upside down now. Words, colors, emotions, even the danger wasn't danger anymore. She closed her eyes for a moment and whispered, "Maybe I know nothing." Jack heard that and leaned forward. "Hey," he said gently. "That's not a bad thing. Means you get to learn new things, make your own truth." She looked at him. "You mean, question what I was taught?" "Exactly," he nodded. "I was taught all aliens were dangerous." Jiri gasped. "You were scared of me?" He nodded. "A little, but you looked more scared of me, so I figured maybe we're both wrong." She stared at him for a long time, and then said, "We are both unlearning." Jack smiled proudly. "Now you're speaking like a human," she giggled. A soft vibrating sound from her chest. It surprised them both. Jack had never heard anything like it, and Jiri had never done it before. "What was that?" she asked in shock. "You laughed," Jack said, grinning. "You just made a joke." "That was a laugh." "I've never laughed before," she whispered. "Our people do not find things funny." "Well, maybe you're the first," he said. First Villari with a sense of humor. Jiri felt a flutter inside her chest. Something gentle, confusing, but not unpleasant. It wasn't fear this time. Jack stood and offered his hand. "Come on, let's go outside. I want to show you something cool." "Don't worry, I won't eat you." Jiri laughed again, louder this time, and took his hand carefully. It was warm, solid, and full of life, not hunger, just connection. As they stepped out into the Earth's evening glow, she whispered, "Maybe I was wrong about you humans." Jack smiled without answering, but deep inside, something was shifting, for both of them. They weren't just learning language, they were learning trust. The Earth's sun had almost disappeared, and the sky turned dark orange with soft shadows across the trees. Jack and Jiri sat together near a small fire just outside the crashed ship. The air was cool, and birds made strange little songs from the branches above. Jiri was still cautious, but not afraid. Not like before. Her translator now explained things more clearly. But it was Jack's behavior, his patience, his laughter, his food, that changed her fear into curiosity. He handed her something wrapped in soft cloth. "This," he said proudly, "is called cake. You'll like it. It's sweet." Jiri took the piece carefully, sniffing it like a scientist examining an unknown object. It smelled wonderful, warm, soft, sweet. It had no sign of poison, no hint of danger, just sugar and something called cinnamon. Jack grinned. "Go on, take a bite." She paused, her eyes narrowing at that word again. "Bite?" He laughed. "Yeah, just a small one." A bite means a little taste, not a human attack. Jiri slowly took the smallest nibble possible. The cake touched her tongue and melted instantly. Her eyes widened, glowing even brighter. "This," she whispered, "is joy." Jack laughed again. "See? Told you." She took a second bite, this time bigger, letting the flavors dance in her mouth. She had never tasted something made just for pleasure. Her people ate for fuel, never for fun, never for emotion. "You make food to feel happy?" she asked. "Sometimes," Jack nodded. "We celebrate with food, we comfort with food. Sometimes we even say, 'I'm sorry' with food." Jiri shook her head in wonder. "Your people are very emotional," he smiled. "Guilty as charged." But just then, something unexpected happened. Jack turned to get another slice from his bag and accidentally tripped over a loose stone. The cake in his hand flew through the air and hit Jiri directly in the face. Time froze, her eyes widened, her body froze. Her entire species had rules about food and face. It was the highest insult, worse than spitting, worse than screaming. Jiri slowly reached up, wiped the cream off her cheek, and looked at Jack with wide, shocked eyes. Jack realized what happened and raised both hands. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident." Jiri stared for a long moment. Her heart pounded. Her instincts said, "Defend your honor." But something else spoke louder, something she never knew before Earth. She began to laugh, a deep, shaking laugh that made her shoulders bounce and her eyes shimmer. It started small, then turned into a full-body giggle. Her voice vibrated through the trees like wind chimes. Jack blinked in confusion. "Wait, you're not mad?" Jiri wiped the cream from her chin and nodded. No, it was funny. You fell because of joy food. Your own weapon turned on you. Jack joined in her laughter, leaning back. Now that's a first. I've never been laughed at by an alien before. As they both calmed down, Jiri looked at him seriously. In my culture, this would be war. Jack raised an eyebrow. A food fight that leads to war? Yes, she replied, but I think I like your way better. Their eyes met across the fire. Something changed in that moment, not in words, but in the silence between them. It was no longer just survival or curiosity. It was connection. Jiri felt her guard soften further. She leaned forward, eyes glowing softly. Jack? Yeah? You said once I'd eat her up when talking about someone. He blinked, then smiled awkwardly. Yeah, that was a stupid thing to say in space radio. She nodded. But now I think I understand. It's not eating, it's wanting to be close, yes? Jack's smile turned gentler. Exactly, not physical hunger, but emotional closeness. Admiration, maybe even love. Jiri looked at the half-eaten cake in her hand, then back at him. Then, I think I would bite you too, Jack choked on his drink, coughing and laughing at the same time. Well, that's a first too. Jiri tilted her head, confused. Did I use it wrong? No, he smiled. You used it perfectly, just unexpected. She leaned back, watching the stars appear one by one. Her translator whispered the names of each star, but her mind wasn't listening to it anymore. Her thoughts were on Jack, and how much one human could change everything she believed, from a feared predator to a strange, sweet friend, maybe more, maybe. And as the wind blew through the trees and the fire crackled between them, Jiri whispered in her own language, I think I'm beginning to fall for the one I thought would eat me. She smiled, and for the first time, she didn't fear the next morning. The night had passed gently, and morning light spilled through the broken panels of Jiri's ship like warm honey. She stretched carefully, her body sore but no longer full of fear. Something had changed between her and Jack. He made her laugh. He fed her food full of emotion, not just energy. And last night, when she almost whispered a thank you, he had simply smiled and offered her a blanket. She didn't know what to call the feeling in her chest now, but it was new, and it was growing, unseen by both of them, hidden. In the high branches of the surrounding forest, a small flying orb hovered in silence. Its dark shell reflected no light, and its signal was encrypted in Valari military code. Inside the orb, 3 watchers from Jiri's own race observed with shocked eyes. Is that her? Whispered one of the observers. That's Jiri, the crash survivor. It is, replied another, zooming in. And the human? He's still alive. He hasn't consumed her yet, the third agent hissed. He's doing worse. He's bonding. Look, he shared sleep space, food, and even emotional gestures. By the stars, said the first one. He's using advanced psychological feeding techniques, making her trust him, preparing her for slow consumption. Jiri's people didn't understand human expressions. They had no concept of jokes, of metaphors, of physical comfort that didn't mean control. So what they saw looked like a ritual, a careful predator softening its prey. We must report back to the high voice, said the senior agent, but first, we need to extract her before she falls deeper under his emotional feeding pattern. They activated a beacon, silent and invisible to human tech. It sent a signal directly into Jiri's nervous implant, an emergency buzz that made her jump. She was just sipping tea Jack had prepared when the vibration hit her temple. She dropped the cup, startled, eyes wide. Jack rushed over. Are you okay? What happened? She clutched the side of her head, eyes glowing erratically. It's a recall pulse, she said. My people. They found me. Jack stepped back, suddenly looking worried. They're coming to get you? She nodded slowly. Yes. And I don't know what they'll do to you. Jack's voice was calm but firm. Jiri, I'm not afraid of your people, but I need to know, do you want to go with them? Her breath caught. She hadn't thought about that. A few days ago, she would have screamed for rescue, but now? After the firelight, the laughter, the shared cake? I don't know, she whispered. They'll think I've been changed, infected by human culture. Jack looked into her eyes. Have you? Jiri paused, then smiled. Maybe. A loud hum filled the forest. A shimmering ripple appeared near the tree line as the extraction ship decloaked, sleek and silver, shaped like a blade of light. It hovered just inches from the ground, and a door opened mid-air. From the ramp, 3 Valari soldiers stepped forward. Cloaked in black, their helmets hid their faces, but Jiri recognized the posture authority mixed with fear. Jiri of House Vethel, said the leader through a voice modulator. You are ordered to return for decontamination and debrief. This human interaction has gone beyond safe limits. Jack stood protectively in front of her. You can't just take her like that. She's not your prisoner, the soldiers raised. Their arms, weapons humming. Step aside, human. You are not recognized by the council. Jiri felt her hands clench. Her heart screamed in 2 directions, toward her people, her duty, her past, and toward the man who made her laugh. Made her taste sweetness, who looked at her like she mattered. I am not going, she said clearly, stepping forward. Not unless you lower your weapons and speak with respect. The soldiers hesitated, confused. Jiri never spoke like this. Before, her tone was commanding, human-like. You are compromised, the soldier replied. This is proof the human has emotionally digested your identity, Jack whispered. That's not what happened. We just understood each other, Jiri looked back at him and smiled. Yes, and for the first time. I feel like myself. The agents looked at each other, unsure how to proceed. Their training hadn't prepared them for aliens choosing to stay with humans willingly. Finally, the leader said, we will report this. Your connection will be monitored. Your return. Delayed. They vanished into the ship and the vessel cloaked itself once more, gone like mist in the wind. Jiri stood frozen, heart pounding. Jack stepped closer. Are you okay? She turned slowly, looked into his eyes, and said, They think you've eaten my soul. Jack raised an eyebrow. Have I? She smiled, maybe just a little, and for the first time, she reached for his hand. It was warm, and he didn't let go. Jiri didn't sleep that night. She sat by the fire, watching the trees sway, her thoughts tangled in fear and hope. The warmth of Jack's hand still lingered in hers, but so did the warning from her people. They were watching her. They had seen everything, and worse. They believed Jack had infected her mind, not opened her heart. Jack, unaware of the danger growing in the shadows, slept near the fire, arms behind his head, his face calm, peaceful, trusting. He had no idea what the Valari were capable of. Jiri's nervous implant buzzed again, but this time it wasn't a recall signal. It was encrypted, sharp and fast. Her eyes widened. She translated the incoming code inside her mind. Termination order. Human subject. Must be removed to protect species integrity. Jiri's breath caught in her throat. Her own people were planning to eliminate Jack. She looked at him. Still sleeping, he had done nothing wrong. He saved her, fed her, made her laugh, and now he was being marked for death because he dared to care. Her heart raced. She couldn't let them take him. She grabbed her communication device, hacked the encryption, and sent a false signal back. Human is no longer near target, mission compromised. She prayed it would buy them time. Moments later, Jack stirred and sat up, rubbing his eyes. You okay? He asked. You look pale. She nodded slowly, then lied. Just thinking. He stood up, stretched, and walked to the edge of the ship. I'll check the water supply, he said with a yawn. Jiri followed him quickly, not letting him go out of sight. She couldn't tell him yet, not until she had a plan. But what could she do? She had no ship, no backup, and now her people wanted him gone. By afternoon, she finally spoke. Her voice was low, almost shaking. Jack. My people sent an order. He turned, confused. What kind of order? She swallowed hard. To kill you. His face froze. What? She stepped closer. They think you've changed me. They fear your kindness, your ideas. They think. You are dangerous. Jack stayed quiet for a moment, then let out a bitter laugh. Of course, I try to help someone, and now I'm a threat. Jiri shook her head. You're not a threat. You're the reason I'm alive. You're the reason. I laughed, but they don't understand humans. They never tried to. Jack's eyes met hers, serious now. What do we do? She took a deep breath. We leave. There's an old human trail I saw on my way down. It leads to a radio tower. We can call for Earth rescue, but we must move now. Jack nodded. Let's go. They packed quickly. Jiri grabbed medical supplies, food. Jack carried the tools and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. The path ahead was dense with vines and uneven rocks, but she pushed forward without hesitation. They walked for hours, birds flying above, the forest darkening. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was full of understanding. Jack didn't ask questions, and Jiri didn't offer lies anymore. When they reached the halfway point, Jiri suddenly froze. Her implant buzzed again, and she caught movement in the trees. A drone small and fast raced past above them, scanning the area. They're close, she whispered. They know we're running. Jack looked up, then grabbed her hand. This way. They turned off the path and ran through the thick forest, branches scratching at their clothes. Jiri's leg throbbed with pain, but she didn't stop. They heard the low hum of an incoming ship, not as large as the first, but fast, deadly, suddenly. They reached a cliff's edge, wind howling below. The radio tower stood across the ravine, but the bridge was gone. Jack looked around. We'll have to climb down and across. Jiri shook her head. I won't make it in time, but you can. Jack turned to her. I'm not leaving you behind. She stepped closer, her eyes glowing with emotion. If they catch us, they'll kill you. I'll stall them, buy you time. You must reach the tower and call for help. That's how we both survive. Jack grabbed her shoulders. You saved me already, Jiri. Don't throw yourself away now. Tears built in her eyes. I thought humans ate their mates, but now I think humans die for them instead. Before he could respond, the humming grew louder. A beam of light shot through the trees. Scanning the cliff, Jiri shoved Jack toward the ledge. Go. He hesitated only a second, then climbed down, disappearing from sight. Jiri turned to face the approaching ship. Standing tall, her hands clenched, her eyes full of fire, when the ship landed. The soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. She raised her voice, loud and clear. He is gone. You're too late. The soldiers aimed at her. Where is the human? She smiled. He escaped with the truth you're too afraid to hear. They fired a warning shot, but she didn't flinch. She stood her ground, and in that moment, the girl they thought was lost became something new, not prey, not traitor, but protector. The sound of wind echoed through the trees. Jiri stood tall at the edge of the cliff, facing the Valari soldiers as their ship hovered behind them. Her chest rose and fell with each breath, but she didn't step back, not even once. One of the soldiers stepped forward, voice sharp and cold. You are infected, Jiri. That human has altered your thinking. You are no longer stable. Jiri's voice was calm, yet firm. No, I am finally clear. Behind her, far below, Jack had almost reached the other side of the ravine. Climbing carefully across the rocks, he paused only once to glance back, just long enough to see her still standing between him and danger. Where is the human? The lead soldier demanded again, his weapon humming with power. Jiri raised her chin. Gone. And I hope you never find him. They aimed at her. You are defying orders from the high voice. I am following my heart, she replied. Something you fear more than any weapon. Just then, a loud crack echoed through the forest. A signal flare burst into the sky from Jack's location, red and bright. A message to any nearby Earth units. A call for help. The soldiers turned toward the Sky distracted, and in that small moment, Jiri made her move. She pulled out her emergency beacon and slammed it against the ground, releasing a pulse wave that scrambled the soldiers' trackers and jammed their weapons for 30 seconds, enough to run. She darted into the forest, her legs still weak, but her will stronger than ever. Behind her, shouts filled the air, but they were too slow, too confused. She ran through the trees, heart pounding, breath ragged, and finally she saw him. Jack stood near the tower, waving his arms. "Jiri! Over here!" She stumbled forward, and he caught her in his arms just as she fell. He held her tightly, shaking with relief. "You came back," he whispered. "I never left." She replied softly. Together, they entered the tower, and Jack activated the emergency human beacon. The machine hummed to life, and within moments, a reply came from orbit. Rescue was coming. They had made it. As they waited, Jack helped her sit down, gently wrapping a new bandage around her leg. "You're crazy, you know that?" he said, half smiling. "You stood there like a warrior." "I am Valari," she said proudly. "But I think I might be something more now." Jack looked at her closely. "What does that mean?" She hesitated, her fingers tracing a small mark on her skin near her collarbone, the symbol of her house. "We were told humans destroy, consume, trick. But you didn't," he nodded. "I just wanted to help." She met his eyes, and her voice softened. "You fed me, warmed me, protected me. You confused me, made me laugh, made me feel things I didn't know I could." Jack swallowed. "Jiri?" She smiled. "You said humans eat those they love, yes?" He laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's a weird thing we say." She leaned closer, her eyes glowing softly under the tower lights. "Then maybe I'd eat you too, human, but only with love." Jack's jaw dropped slightly. "Well, that's the most romantic threat I've ever heard." She tilted her head, confused. "Is that good?" "It's perfect," he said. They both laughed, and for a moment, the tower felt like the safest place in the universe. Outside, the Valari soldiers watched from the trees, unable to approach the tower's protective signal. Their weapons were useless here. "This is worse than we feared," one of them said. "She is not infected, she's transformed." "By what?" asked another. "By love." Back inside, Jiri reached into her pocket and pulled out a small glowing stone, her species soul marker. She placed it in Jack's hand. "This means you are part of my spirit now," she said softly. "No matter what happens next, you are inside me forever." Jack gently held the stone like it was made of stars. "And you're in mine, Jiri, even if I don't have a glowing rock to prove it." They sat in silence, listening to the approaching hum of the rescue shuttle. Jiri looked up at the sky and whispered, "I was told humans were monsters, but I found something else." Jack smiled. "What did you find?" She looked at him with shining eyes. "I found home." As the rescue ship landed and the light bathed them both, she reached for his hand again, and he took it without question. Two beings from different stars, brought together by misunderstanding, and bound by something stronger than fear, not duty, not orders, but something simple, strange, and entirely human: love.